Why, hello, Jay.
Hello, Mike.
I see you're wearing your Freddy Krueger sweater.
Who?
The guy from that 2010 film, A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, the movie where he's a pedophile, and the whole movie is about him being a pedophile. That's what I want in my fun fantasy horror. I think of like Freddy Krueger riding the broomstick in Freddy's Dead, and it's like, oh, now he's overtly a pedophile.
Yeah.
Like, that's great. That's fun.
Well, after Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead, again, George Romero vanished and surfaced to make the classic film Land of the Dead, one of the worst films ever made.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but it's ironically the only way he could get it made was after the success of the Dawn of the Dead remake. Zombies are big again, so let's get the guy who made those old zombie movies. Oh, this is what he made. There's elements of Land of the Dead that I like.
I have to say, I love the concept.
Yeah, the fortified city.
He didn't build that place. He just took it over, kept the best for himself, and left us with a slum to live in.
The rich people, because money is still a thing. The rich people live at the top of the tower, and it's just sort of about them kind of trying to ignore the problem and pretend that life is normal and fine, but down below, that's where shit's going bad.
It could have been a really brilliant commentary on like classism.
That's what he was going for,
Yeah.
but it's so, like, he's hitting you over the head with it.
You're worried about being locked out, and I see that. I can't help but think we're all locked in.
And just on a story level, it doesn't make sense. The idea that at the end of the movie, you've got Dennis Hopper shoving bags full of money, and it's like, money is useless. They have one line in Dawn of the Dead that is more brilliant than anything in Land of the Dead.
You never know.
It's like he kind of knows that right now this is useless, but you never know.
Yeah, maybe
that's a more clever way of dealing with that, the idea of money and where society is going, than anything in Land of the Dead.
Well, they do use money in Land of the Dead in their bubble of society where
Which makes no sense.
The rich people are walking around in like fur coats and shopping in like a little shopping area. It's a bigger scale than Dawn or Day, where it's like you have this giant tower and all these people live in it. And classism and their separation would start to occur, where there would be people that run the show, and there would be people that have to go out and take out the garbage and clean up zombies and gather supplies. There would be some sort of functioning. There would be some sort of functional order that occurs.
Sure.
I always compare it to Titanic. The just not the movie, but the idea that there are first class, second class, third class passengers, and then but when Titanic hits the iceberg, all bets are off. Like, sure, the first class passengers got priority to get on the boats, but then third class passengers also survived. It just became a thing where once shit hits the fan, everyone's just a person.
Yeah.
And the classism evaporates and everyone just has to survive. It should have been that, where it was like, yeah, you have the people on the top and the bottom, but once zombies get into that building, everyone just is a person and then all breaks down. I really can't comment too much on Land because I only watched it once.
Yeah.
All I remember was the really, really offensive Yes Massa butler.
Oh, yeah, the butler character.
Mr. Kaufman isn't home, and I heard that.
Like,
I think he's
like
going
my
for
skin
some
crawl?
sort of, I guess he's going for some sort of
Yes.
satire, but it was so poorly executed.
It was, yes, very, very poorly executed. That, and then the counterpoint of that, of the rich people in fur coats shopping and buying like diamonds and stuff,
Yeah.
like how delusional. It was very cartoony,
Yeah.
where someone could be so delusional to where they're buying like fancy jewelry in the middle of the whole world being destroyed.
Yeah.
To
Well,
hit you over the
I
head.
think what happened is somewhere between the original 3 movies, by the time he got around to doing Land of the Dead, someone told George Romero, hey, your movies have social commentary in them.
Right.
And so he thought that was something he needed to make more overt, because he said with Night of the Living Dead, The interesting thing about the first three, and I would include Land of the Dead in this too, actually, the first four, is that they're very representative of the decade they were made, which is interesting and unique for a series of movies. And the first one is, it's the 60s, and is sort of radical to have the main protagonist of the movie be a black man. But George Romero has said the reason he's a black man is because Dwayne Jones was the best actor that he could find for the part. So, and it was sort of after the fact that people said, like, oh, that was a radical decision, and then it kind of gives another layer to the ending.
All right, Vince, hit him in the head, right between the eyes.
When you're seeing, like, the photographs, and he's been shot, and he's being thrown on a bonfire, and it's just like...
Yeah, the civil rights era.
Yeah, that era. And then the 70s, of course, zombies in the mall, it's consumers. And,
yes, the boom of consumerism.
Yeah, we're all zombies wandering around the mall. But it's vague enough where it's like you don't need the social commentary for that story to work.
Right.
It's just an element to it.
It's an element. Yeah.
Land of the Dead is just like shoving it in your face in a way that's not clever at all.
We don't negotiate with terrorists.
Yeah, and you have those shots in Dawn of the Dead of the zombies like kind of doing their
Yeah.
thing, and then it cuts to the mannequins and like, intercuts back and forth, and you're like, okay, got it. That's pretty nice. And then I guess you could say Day of the Dead is very the 80s.
It's just sort of about giving up on any sort of respect for authority and leadership.
I'm short on manpower. I won't have you going around doping up any of my men without orders from me. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Fuck you, sir.
Maybe Cold War tensions. There's a lot of war Reaganomics, 80s.
Yeah.
That sort of like interpolitical tensions that occurred during the 80s.
Look, Major Cooper promised
Major Cooper is dead. I'm in command now.
The 70s was a time of excess, cocaine and shopping. And the 80s was Gorbachev and Reagan. Mm-hmm. And then, Land is...
Very Bush.
These demands are not open to negotiation.
We don't negotiate with terrorists.
Yes. That kind of the early 2000s, I think, is when that movie was made. But
which makes it more interesting as a whole than as a specific movie. I like that about... And then Diary of the Dead was like, oh, people are giving me money to make zombie movies again. I'm going to rush out another one right away. Found footage.
Like that cameraman from Channel 10. He wanted to upload it so that people, you, could be told the truth. The film was shot with a Panasonic HDX 900 and an HVX 200. I did the final cut on Jason's laptop. I've added music occasionally for effect, hoping to scare you. You see, in addition to trying to tell you the truth, I am hoping to scare you, so that maybe you'll wake up.
Something.
Whatever. And it's like the worst thing ever.
Oh my God. What's wrong with him?
He's dead. That's what's wrong with him.
What is going on?
Jesus, a nurse.
Dead doctor, dead nurse. Makes sense, doesn't it?
I could just picture George Romero with his Harry Carey glasses on. What's a big thing now? Internets?
Yeah.
Look, 72,000 hits in 8 minutes.
Everyone's got a chat room. No, George. That was 1995. They don't go in the chat rooms anymore. What's a tweet? No, George. Can a zombie be a tweet? What? Excuse me? I have to take my medication.
72,000 hits. They're coming in from all over the world. They're not getting the truth from anybody else. All that shit on the news is a pack of lies. 72,000 hits in 8 minutes. That's unbelievable.
Congratulations, you're famous.
That's not what it's about. Would you rather have people not knowing what's going on in the world?
Friend request. How about a zombie request?
That's what Diary of the Dead feels like is a movie made by someone trying to comment on sort of the media and new media that has no understanding of what he's talking about. This one is completely out of touch. Which is why I actually kind of liked Survival of the Dead, the one he did after that, because it's basically just a Western with zombies. There's no sort of in-your-face message. It's not a great movie, but out of those new three, it's the best one.
He gave up on the message.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you could say that something about it's like just two groups of people that don't get along. So it's just like that's about it. It's nothing more overt than that.
It's a comment on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Sure, any sort of conflict, and that's the thing. It's not like a specific anything. It's just two different groups of people that can't get along with their ideals. So that one's okay. Most people seem to think it's the worst one, but not in a world where Diary of the Dead exists.
Don't mess with Texas.
Anyways, so we have talked today extensively about zombies because it's that time of year, Halloween. And
I thought you were going to say because it's election season.
Oh,